So, I'm Philip. So, let's continue. So, the steps in content analysis. We have 5 steps. First is recognizing the problem, forming the hypothesis, doing the library search, designing the study, and developing the instrument. In recognizing the problem, it is mainly on the title. In forming the hypothesis, which means you are creating assumption about the certain problem. It is all about assumption. And also doing the library search. It is all about reading books, finding any references or any sources. That is also valid. And designing the study and developing the instrument. Under the developing the instrument, we have a agreement between subject and predicate and tenses. So, with agreement between subject and predicate, first is when subject is plural, then the predicate is singular. So the subject is noun or the subject is pronoun. But when the subject is singular, so the predicate is plural. Same as the subject is also noun, the subject is also pronoun. So in number 3, the subject and predicate are plural, so when both should be singular. But when the subject and the predicate in number 4 are singular, when both should be plural. Then, of course, the subject A is noun, and then B, the subject is pronoun. In the next, so in tenses, in the simple past tense, so first is the present tense is used. The present tense is used instead of simple past tense. Diba? Present tense instead of simple past tense. So the future tense instead of simple past tense. Present participle is used instead of the simple past tense. Present progressive is used instead of the simple past tense, or past progressive is used instead of simple past tense. Because in simple past tense, it happened already, it has already been occurred. So some are using this, such as the past participle is used instead of the simple past tense. And then the simple past tense, in simple present tense, A is the simple past tense is used instead of present tense. Future tense is used instead of present tense. Present participle is used instead of present tense. Present progressive is used instead of present tense. Past progressive is used instead of present tense, and past participle is used instead of present tense. So in content analysis, it has been necessary when you are also looking for the tenses. You are also considering what text or what tenses should be included in the text. So it should be present tense, future tense, instead of simple past tense or simple present tense. They have been really considering about the subject, the predicate, and also the tenses. This is how they're just going to develop the instrument. The tenses is really considered in creating in putting some text. Okay, so the next is collecting the data and analyzing the data. In collecting the data, take for granted that 50 compositions have been examined and the data collected as follows. So, types of error committed. For example, we have already talking about the present tense, future tense instead of this tense. Okay, so types of error committed when you use present tense instead of past. We're going to look at the column 1. And then, if you use this, the number of students committing errors is 15. The number of errors committed is 49. So the number of errors committed is higher than the students committed such error. In the future tense used instead of past, there are 10 numbers of students committing the errors, while there are 35 numbers of errors committed. In the number 3, present participle used instead of the past. So here, there are 36 students committing errors. That is really high compared to the number 1 and number 2. And then there are 281 numbers of errors committed. That is the second to the highest errors committed. Number 4 is past participle is used instead of this. There are 45 and 375. Present progressive use instead of past. There are 19 and 50. As follow, number 6, past progressive instead of past. There are 21 and 51. With a total of number errors, it has 841 in total. In analyzing the data, the types of error may be ranked to determine what type of errors committed for most. For example, in error number 1, there are 15 numbers of students committing the errors, and then they're looking for the percent and the base. They ranked it if what kanang place or what rank it is on the 5th or the 1st, and then the numbers of errors committed, just like in the collecting the data, and then the percent based on the number of errors committed, and also they're going to rank it. In error number 2, for example, in error number 2 there are 10, so the base is 20, the rank is 6, the number of errors committed is 35, so they're going to get the percentage again, which is 4.16, and the rank is 6. We have then as follows in entry number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, with a total number of errors committed, which is 841, and of course the percent is 100. And then another type in content analysis is making conclusion. In making conclusion, this is just based on the result, based on the data. It is really valid, and of course when you're making conclusion or assumption, it is based on the result. It should be valid, or it is based on it is really related to the hypothesis. In making also recommendation, what is the purpose of your study, to whom will you going to recommend this, for example, for a certain organization, to the government, or to whom, to which person it is really helpful. And then the last part is application of content analysis of documentary materials, analyzing to determine the educational, political, sociological, philosophical, psychological, and other side of great authors, analyzing contents of textbooks and other instructional materials as a basis of curriculum construction and development, and as a basis for the selection of textbooks and other instructional materials for different curricular years of the educational ladder. It's all about textbooks or instructional materials. That is all they're also referring to in having a documentary of having a materials or documentary materials. And number 3 is analyzing the achievements of students in different subjects to determine the types of errors they committed as a basis for making remedial teaching and for curriculum development. Number 4, analyzing the different writings of students, such as essays, compositions, poems, stories, letters, and etc., which is to determine their writing aptitudes, level of their vocabulary, and spelling skills as a basis for designing programs for future development. Number 5 is analyzing school records, such as class records, report cards, enrollment lists, grading sheets, cumulative records, etc., of different schools and school systems, with the end in view of adopting the common, practical, economical, and useful school records. And number 6, lastly, is analyzing the objectives and practices of different schools and school systems, with the end in view of adopting more valid and practical objectives and practices to attain the same ends. So again, this is all about this application of content analysis of documentary materials. It is really on the primary sources over the secondary sources. So I hope that you've learned something about our report, and thank you so much.